be grateful, man. When you get an opportunity, go and do the best you can do and be grateful, and people will realize, oh man, this guy's a cool guy to have around.
Yeah.
He's so sweet.
Yeah. Fantastic. Carlito, last night I stopped by to hear you playing with Randy Woolman, Tom Scott, and Steve Gadd. The performance was absolutely incredible. You played great. I've known Steve Gadd for probably almost over 40 years. And to hear you lock in with Steve and to hear that sound and Randy playing, it really was fantastic. It was, if anything, it was spiritual. So I thank you for that. It was a great, great performance.
And thank you so much for saying that. I really love, they are really close friends of mine. You know, Randy, we work together a lot, and Tom too. And Steve Gadd, I've known Steve now for 7 years maybe, and I love him, man. I mean, I've been a fan of his for years, 20, 30 years. But personally, I've known him for 7 years, and he's such a beautiful person, you know, and a great guy to be around, and we hang around and we go running together. You know, he's an avid runner.
Yeah, he likes to run.
So we go running together. He can hang, man. He will run for an hour and a half, and he's 74.
Yeah, he's in great shape.
Amazing, yeah, great shape.
You know, I've had the chance to sit down in this setting with Steve Gadd, with Randy Woolman, with Tom Scott, and the stories that they have spoken about and the journeys that they're on, the fact that you are working with these musicians and so many other musicians. I want to kind of go back. You were born and raised in Cuba.
Yes.
But what's interesting about it is that at 17 years old, you were recognized as the best new jazz artist at the International Jazz Festival in Havana, Cuba.
Yes.
Where did it start for you? And of course your dad was influential, but tell me where it started.
I'll tell you how it started. So my dad, his name is Carlos del Puerto, the real Carlos del Puerto.
Yeah.
I'm the copy. So my dad, he was a bass player of a really famous Cuban band called Irakere. It was a very emblematic band from Cuba. It kind of changed the course of Cuban music from being really traditional to becoming something completely modern. And why? Because the musicians that were in this band were exceptional. Each and every one in each instrument. You know, it was Chucho Valdez on piano, Arturo Sandoval on trumpet, Paquito de Rivera on saxophone. My dad played bass, so it was a really important band. But before my dad was my grandfather.
Really?
Carlos Puerto too. He was a Carlos Puerto. But he played tuba. He was a virtuoso, like he played great.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where our musical heritage really started from grandfather.
How beautiful.
And then the way I started in the music, my dad didn't really want me to be a musician. He's like, he thought the business was too difficult, so he's like, no, I don't want him to be a musician. But my mom took me to the school, like behind his back. She took me to do the test, you know, to see if I had the attitude for music, you know, if I had the talent for it, and I passed. So she came home and he said, well, Carlitos was accepted to Caturla School of Music, and my dad said, what? Oh, that's great.
That is beautiful.
And that's how it started for me.
That is it. But your dad, you know, the book, The True Cuban Bass,
yes, sir,
which is a fantastic book, and it was adopted by Berklee College of Music.
Yes.
And so your dad really, you know, from Cuba and internationally really kind of opened the doors of playing bass in a little bit more of a modern way.
Okay, I like to say this, and I don't say it only because it's my dad, but it's the truth. So there's a really famous Cuban bass player that kind of changed or made Cuban bass playing really famous. His name was Cachao, Israel Lopez Cachao, really famous. You know the actor Andy Garcia?
Absolutely, yeah.
So Andy Garcia made a documentary on him, and he was a very important person, not only because he was a great bass player, but he was the inventor of the mambo.
Really?
Yeah.
So the mambo rhythm, that feel.
The mambo rhythm, it was Cachao, Israel Lopez Cachao.
Beautiful.
So Israel was the granddad of Cuban bass playing. Like he set the rules basically, right? Then when my pops came around, my dad had a lot of the influences of American music already in him. Jazz, rock, and that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And my dad started putting that into the new Cuban bass players. So my dad was the one that became the dad of the modern school of Cuban bass playing.
Very
and then also he wrote, in Cuba, he wrote all the curriculum of the instrument in the National School of Arts. So all the bass players that came out of Cuba kind of came out studying his books.
So you're at the National School of Music and Arts in Cuba.
Yes.
Are you learning your dad's material?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was crazy. It took that for me because Dad and I would clash all the time at home. He would try to teach me and he's like, shut up, you gotta do it this way, and I'm like, know what I'm doing. So we didn't really get along. Of course I was listening to him, but I just was rebel at that point.
Yeah, sure.
You know, then when I grew up, I said, man, thank you, Dad, man, you put me in the right path.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
So here you are now, you're 17, you're at school, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
What were you playing with a variety of different musicians, and what style of music were you playing?
I was playing mostly jazz.
Oh, interesting.
And Latin jazz. I never played Cuban music.
Really?
I never played Cuban music because what was hip in the National School of Arts, amongst my friends and stuff, everybody was listening to jazz, especially Chick Corea.
So interesting.
Which we'll talk about that.
Please, because I know you had
Yes.
worked with him. So what kind of jazz was it? What were you listening to?
So the information that was getting to me at that point was very limited. You know, Cuba was closed
Yeah,
at the
very
time.
close.
So some people had some Miles, some Coltrane stuff, you know, Sonny Rollins. It was the classics. You know, they had that. And then the most modern one that got there was Chick and Keith Jarrett also.
Oh, beautiful.
Keith.
Yeah, yeah.
Pat Metheny was big too. You know, so those are the influences that I was listening to when I was growing up.
How was this music getting into Cuba? Because Cuba was really closed and tight.
Through the musicians. The musicians that would travel out of the country would come into the country with records.
Beautiful.
And they were like, there was cassettes and stuff at the time, so everybody was like copying it from each other.
Yeah, yeah.
It was beautiful, man, because it was little information that you get, but what you got with that information, you squeeze the juice out of it, you know.
Yeah.
So you got very little, and you say, man, this is a treasure. I gotta learn all this, and that's how I learned. And how a lot of my friends learn too, like from one album.
Yeah.
And you get the whole album and take as much as you can.
But that's a very interesting concept, because then I was also that way as younger. We didn't have much access to some of the music, and when you got a recording, you really pulled the most you can out of it.
Exactly.
It's different today now because of the access of so much music.
There's a lot of information, yes.
And this is about this younger generation listening to your words and your experience and your wisdom, so they can hear that when they hear music, they really should pull as much out of it as they can.
The internet is an amazing tool. It's fantastic, but it could be a little too much sometimes. You know,
A blessing and a curse.
A blessing and a curse. I mean, you get so much information that then you don't really know how to go, where to go, or like for example, people that are teaching an instrument, for example, you get so many opinions that then you're like, oh, I think I like this, no, but I think I like this too, and then you don't really go the way you have to go.
Right.
I was blessed that I had my dad, then I also had my teachers. You know, like they see you, like they knew you, they know you as a human being.
Yeah.
They know your physique. They tell you, okay, you need to practice this. You know, practice this, or you're lacking this.
Yeah.
Or don't play so hard, or your hands are not correct. Like the simple stuff.
Yeah.
That's the simple stuff.
But
like
the
that's
foundation of
the
what
foundation.
you,
that's how you start.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer of like that you meet somebody, a mentor, somebody that you really admire, and go to him and ask him, Master, please help me. You know, I clean your floors. You know, I do whatever. I go and buy your groceries.
And trust them.
And trust them.
And have faith in them.
Yes.
Very interesting point.
Yes.
Very interesting point.
And that's it. It's like, and sometimes a lot of the people that are giving the opinion, it's a lot of people giving opinion. And this is, I'm not trying to be negative or anything, but it's like some of these people have not even have a gig. I mean, who do you play with to feel like you're an authority on this kind of stuff? You know,
right.
It's like, let's say I love competition like F1 and stuff, right? And I would love to learn how to drive an F1. I would like to learn with Hamilton, the British guy that is amazing, you know what I mean? So who would I learn with? Hamilton, that is incredible, and he's been driving a car at 400 miles an hour.
Has the experience.
Or a guy that has been playing on a game at home.
Great point, great point. So were you playing with different musicians at the time? You're still in Cuba, and you're playing with different musicians.
Yeah, I was playing in school with a lot of my friends.
Yeah.
My first job was at 16 years old with a pianist called Emiliano Salvador. He was a great and amazing Cuban pianist. And that was my first show, my first gig. I mean, and then it was my first recording too.
What were you playing? What kind of music?
It was Latin jazz. It was Latin jazz.
Okay.
And so we get to the studio, and the guy that was producing the album, his name was Eduardo Ramos. And this guy was a good friend of my dad. So we go into the studio and we start recording. They stop the tape. Carlitos, check your pitch. I check your pitch. Come on, man, let me play. You know, we go again. Carlitos, your tuning is really bad. Carlitos, oh my God, I left that day crying like, oh my God. You know, the guy came to me like at this, we were gonna do 3 days in the studio. After that day, he came to me and he said, look, man, I cannot let you do this. This is your first recording. And I'm a really good friend of your dad.
Oh my gosh.
This would be really bad for you. You gotta get it together. I'm sorry that I'm doing this, but you gotta get it together. I'm thinking, man, now I listen back to the record and it's not bad, you know, but it's because of him. If I had gone with the original thing, it didn't sound good. But that was my first experience. And then from that, I started playing with Chucho Valdés, which was Chucho was kind of like my uncle. I would see Chucho all the time. He was my dad's, you know, friend. They worked together in the same band. So I started playing with Chucho, and then I played with Gonzalo Rubalcaba a little bit. Gonzalo is another fantastic Cuban piano player.
So you got some really great players that you're playing with.
Yeah.
So you're playing with players that are older than you,
yes,
more mature, so they're kind of lifting you up to the game.
Oh my God, yes, yes. And that's the best thing you could do if you get the chance, because just getting in a room with a person like that has that kind of experience, it would elevate your playing even if you don't even play a note. Right. You just sit and you listen and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is what I need to do.
Absolutely.
Boom, one note, that's it. You know?
So how long are you in Cuba at this point?
I was 17 years old, so 17. The last thing I did in Cuba was a couple of records called Cubanismo. That was a really popular record here. It became kind of a hit. And then I emigrated to the United States when I was 19. I moved to Los Angeles.
Right to LA.
I came back. I came to Los Angeles.
Why LA?
I hooked up with a lady. I hooked up with a lady and she was living here.
Yeah.
But the beautiful part about that is that the people that gave me the scholarship to come to Los Angeles, I sent a video playing with Chucho and stuff. And this is a piano player that is now the director of, I don't know if it's FIU or Miami. It's a piano player called Shelley Berg.
Shelley Berg is Miami University.
Miami.
I've interviewed him here. He's a brilliant player.
Amazing.
Brilliant player.
Amazing. And an incredible educator and a sweet man. I love him.
Articulate.
I love him.
The interview that I did with him was really inspiring.
He's an incredible person. And so he gave me the scholarship to come here. Him and John Clayton. So that's how I got to the States. And then I took composition lessons with another brilliant musician called Vince Mendoza.
Oh yeah.
Ridiculous, incredible composer too. That started my life in the United States. I pretty much had to change my whole life when I got here because it was a completely different way of looking at music at that point. So I get from Cuba, and I was kind of cocky because I was Carlitos Del Puerto in Cuba, and as you said, I got the recognition of the jazz festival, and you know, people knew me, and they're like, oh man, this guy is best in Havana, right? Well, Havana is this big. You know,
LA is really
LA is like, you know, Havana is like this. So I get here, and I'm cocky, man, I got it, you know, I want to get all the gigs. Not really. I got here, and I started to go to clubs and see people play, and my jaw fell like to the floor. I saw everybody, Jimmy Earl, Jimmy Haslett, Jimmy Johnson.
Beautiful players.
Oh my God,
players,
oh,
great
everybody,
guys,
everybody, man. I saw Tucci, I saw McBride, I saw all the guys, man. I was like, I'm not ready. I gotta do this again. I gotta start practicing again. And it was a great experience for me to have to reprogram all of that again.
But what a great desire that you saw that and you went back and you pushed yourself even further to rise to that next level.
The drive behind that was My family, man. You know, I left. I don't want to make it a sad story, but I left, and I left my mom and my 2 sisters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, like, I gotta provide for these women. You know? I can't leave them like that. I just leave them, and so I said, I'm gonna make myself the best I can be, so I can be working.
Beautiful.
So I exposed myself to all the stuff I was lacking. For example, as I mentioned before, all I practiced in Cuba was jazz, right? Los Angeles, at that time in 1996, it wasn't a particularly big jazz scene.
Yeah,
it was not like New York.
Yeah.
That's changing now in LA.
Jazz is developing
Jazz
more
is
and more
developing
now.
more.
Beautiful.
By Kamasi Washington and people like that. I did Kamasi Washington's last record.
Beautiful.
You know, Heaven and Earth.
That is great to hear.
But I know Kamasi since 1996. Since way back when he was playing salsa gigs with me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
With Francisco Aguabella, a percussionist.
Yeah.
So that was all I knew, right? Jazz. But then I didn't know pop music. I didn't know rock and roll. I didn't know anything.
So you had to open up
so I had to,
music and
funk music, and not because I didn't want to know it. It was just because I wasn't exposed to it.
Yeah.
And then I get here and I start listening to all these people. I'm like, man, this music is as deep as the jazz. I gotta learn this, you know? So I got into that deep, man, and I'm so glad I did. It opened my horizons to so many other opportunities.
So now you're starting to meet other people.
Yeah.
You went back to the woodshed and you're
Yeah.
putting the time into it.
Yeah.
What happened at that point? Did you start meeting musicians and start working?
It was 8 years of hard labor. Imagine that you're working in the mines, like breaking stones. You know, like 8 years of intense $40 gigs.
Oh my gosh.
It was humbling.
This is paying dues.
Paying dues.
This is
Paying
nothing,
dues.
nothing new. If you believe in it and you believe in yourself and you have the faith, these are the dues you have to pay.
Right,
And
you have to do it. You have to do it.
Yeah.
And but you learn a lot if you understand. And I have to say, I needed it. I needed it, and I'm glad that it took that long, because I needed that time to get better. You know, and then there was a turning point in my life. So there was a day that I was playing in a jazz club in the Valley here in Los Angeles that was called CARLITOS. And at that club, there was like 3 or 4 people on, man. We were playing, killing some bad cats in there. Kamasi was in there. We were playing. And there was like 3 or 4 people. And I was like, Jesus, I can't take this anymore. Please, God, give me a little bone, man. Please throw me a bone, you know. Sure enough, the next day, I got a call from this dear friend of mine that I just saw him at the show when we were walking. His name is Steve Weingartz. I love that man. I love him. Weingy, we done some local gigs. We did some gigs and stuff. But Weingy had a really good friend, and the name of that friend was Steve Lukather.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, he's a founding member of a really famous band called Toto.
Yeah.
That's one part of him. But the other part of him is that he was a huge session player in LA. He did Thriller. He worked on pretty much
Skag.
He was doing everything, you know.
Through the 70s and 80s, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get this call from my friend Steve Weingartz. And Weingy says to me, hey man, you want to play some rock and roll? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, man, let's do it. And he's like, you know a guy called Steve Lukather? I said, no idea. I have no idea who he is. I didn't know. I said, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to lose the gig, but I don't know who he is. He's like, go and check him out. And then I found some video of him or something, and an amazing musician, right? So he said, hey, man, so we're going to he wants to meet you. There's going to be a meeting at a restaurant in LA called Mexicali. Oh, fantastic. When is it? Tuesday at 7 p.m. Great. I was there. We get there, and it was 4 of us. Steve Weingartz, Eric Valentine, the drummer. This was his first chance, his first good gig too.
Wow.
Great drummer, Eric Valentine. Me and Steve Lukather. And we sit on a booth like this, on a table, and we just start doing small conversation and stuff. And And all of a sudden, Lukather said, hey, he calls the waitress and says to him, hey, could you bring a bottle of tequila? I'm like, oh my God. Uh-oh. Beam, boom, 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 boom. And we all like flying at that point, no? And in the middle of that craziness, I had this thought. I said, so Steve, so when is the audition? And he says, this is it. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I know you can play. I want to know if you can hang.
Interesting.
And I want to explain to you what that means. What that means is that there's a lot of people that are incredible musicians, but if you don't have the right attitude, it's very difficult to work with you.
Yeah.
You know, imagine going on tour on a tour bus for 2-3 months, a month, whatever, and having a sour grape in the band.
Absolutely.
It's not fun.
Yeah,
it's not. I didn't understand that at that point, but I understand it now that I've been in the road enough, you know.
Yeah.
And then Lukey gave me another life lesson that I always give him credit for because it changed my life too. So we get to the rehearsals, and I did my homework, man. I wrote every bass line down of the original guy. I wrote it note by note. I wrote it, and I was reading and practicing the right stuff, right? Then I get to the rehearsals. We start playing, whatever it was, right? But I was standing like this. You know, I was coming from the jazz world, so I was really thinking about what I was doing, you know, so I was, you know, giving an occasional gesture with the face, but standing in the same spot. Luke stops the rehearsal. Hey guys, let's stop. And he goes, hey Carlitos, hey man, I love what you're doing. I love your playing, man. You sound great. Well, man, could you run a little bit? Just throw a kick, do something. I'm like, why? It's like, man, this is rock and roll, man. I mean, you gotta have fun, man. It was like, and I was thought inside of, I mean, this guy, man, why is he saying that? I'm playing great. That's what I'm thinking, right? So I leave that day. I went home and I said, I need this job. I need to do it. Yeah. You know?
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. And I did it. And that started my life. That started this. Yeah. That started this. That started this, all that stuff. So it's a show, guys. You got to give him a show.
Absolutely. So Steve realized that you had the ability and talent, and now the stage presence is what we're talking about.
Exactly. So the stage presence, you know, people are coming to be entertained.
Yeah.
So that you are a great musician, that's amazing, you know, but make it fun too.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a lesson he gave me with very few words that changed everything for me, because before that point, nobody really saw me. He was the same player, he was the same person. I was playing the bass well, but nobody saw me. After that point, my life started.
Yeah. This is the brilliance of Steve Lukather.
Yep.
It really, really is.
I thank him for that so much, because after Steve Lukather, I worked with Lukey for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. After Luke, I started working with a drummer called Max Weinberg.
Fantastic. Bruce Springsteen, here it is. Bring it on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is how funny, I'm gonna tell you how the story went. So I was doing a gig in Ventura Boulevard on a jazz club again, on a day that I didn't really want to go work, and a piano player shows up, sees me playing, and he said, hey man, you want to do a rehearsal next Monday at the Union? I said, sure, let's do it. Let's go and play a little bit. I show up, and who's setting up the drums? Max Weinberg. And I saw Max, and we clicked right away. He's a very personable guy. We started talking.
Yeah.
I worked with Max for a few months. One day, man, Bruce got a gig, he's coming back, you want to play? I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course. And that was the first time we played, and imagine. And that was, again, coming out of Lukey's advice.
Yeah.
You know? Then I did that. Then after that, I started working with a trumpet player called Chris Botti.
Chris Botti, fantastic
I played with Botti for a couple of years.
Oh, beautiful player.
From Botti, I met Sting.
Because he played with Sting. Played, yeah.
And I played with Sting a little bit too.
So think about this here. You go from Lukather, who was the springboard to all this here, into Max Weinberg, into Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah. And then he keeps, I mean, I don't want to keep dropping names, but he keeps...
Drop them. This is what I want people to understand. You put the time into developing your skill.
Yeah.
You put the time into developing your character and your stage presence.
Yeah.
You worked on the full picture. Now, this is the payback.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah. And also it takes preparation. I mean, given that you have the preparation on your music, you gotta have the stage presence, but hopefully you can back it up too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not only being pretty and then that's not fun.
Yeah.
But I start getting gigs in LA, like recordings and stuff like that. Christina Aguilera, Jennifer Lopez, Josh Groban, and then I get a call from my friend Randy Wallman.
Randy
play
Wallman,
with Barbara.
I just interviewed. What a brilliant musician.
An amazing musician.
Yeah.
And a brilliant person too. He's a helicopter
pilot.
That's insane. He took me on one of his rides. He was practicing a thing called outer rotation. You know what that is?
Out of rotation.
Outer rotation.
They shut it off?
Yes. He practiced that with me. I wanted to kill him, man.
Randy is so
I don't even really like flying that much, so we go on this trip, man, and it was beautiful. We're flying, and actually a helicopter, it's very noisy, but the flight is actually more stable than on a plane. It's not as bumpy.
Yeah.
So we do this beautiful. He takes me to the Hollywood sign and everything. Oh my God, breathtaking.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we start going back to the Burbank airport. And he stops the helicopter in the air like this right at the beginning of the runway where all the 727s all come, like the Southwest planes and stuff. And he's parked like hovering over that. And I was like, man, wait a minute. I'm looking back like this, like, is there a plane coming in? And he starts saying something, and he said, 3, 2, 1, woo! I'm never going again with him, man.
A funny guy, great pilot, but a brilliant musician, and an arranger, and a composer, and a piano player.
Yes.
So you're working with him now?
Actually, no. Before that, I was working with John Densmore. You know who John Densmore is?
Yeah, sure.
I played with John a little bit. That was great, a great experience.
What kind of gigs were you doing with John?
He had a band. He was kind of ethereal, kind of like he had different styles, and he had like a Pakistani Kamanche player, and it was a great experience too.
Yeah.
And then I get this is where the story gets good. So I'm doing the gig with John Densmore,
right,
in Topanga Canyon, right. And at a festival called Topanga Days or something like that.
Yeah, not far in the LA area.
Yeah, it's kind of a hippie festival or something. So we finish the gig, boom, con, king, boom. Start connect my bass, I turn around, Stanley Clarke. He's standing behind me. I'm like, man, who are you? He can't do it like, and I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, Stanley, man. Oh my God, Stanley Clarke.
One of the greatest bass legends in the world. And that's why I say, if they don't know that name, when they're watching this, stop and do the research.
Stanley Clarke.
Exactly.
A lot of people talk about Jaco Pastorius, with Stanley Clarke. He's
up there.
He's up there. Yeah. So Stanley comes like, man, who are you? I love what you're doing, and what kind of gigs you doing? Like I want to know everything about you. And I'm like, no, master, man. So I give you my name and stuff. And he said, I'm going to recommend you for some stuff. I didn't hear from Stanley for 2 more years. All of a sudden, I get a call from Stanley. Carlitos, I'm recommending you for Chick Corea. I didn't believe him. Because I didn't hear from him for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's not going. He did.
Yeah.
I heard the message. He left a message in my machine that I still have it.
Nice.
And that same day, Chick called me.
So think of this now. Cuba, you're checking out the music, you come to LA, now you're meeting all these musicians.
Yep.
Chick was a very big part of your Cuban learning experience.
Yes.
Now you get the call from Chick Corea. How was that phone call?
So Chick Corea was actually one of my teachers, man, indirectly.
Yeah.
Indirectly. I mean, that's how I really, when I started getting my technique and all of that, was just trying to emulate Eddie Gomez, John Patitucci, Miroslav Beatles, Stanley Clarke.
Yeah, and they call the great bass players.
All the great bass players.
Yeah.
You know? So that's how I started getting my technique in the instrument with Chick, you know?
Beautiful.
And then, you know, that he calls me, man. When he called me, Carlitos, it's Chick Corea. Chick. Started crying. Chick. You know, I said, hey man, I want to invite you. I've been listening to you. I've been seeing some stuff that you do, and I really like what you do.
Yeah.
So I want to invite you to join my band. I'm like, what? And before me, it was Christian McBride.
Yeah. Great player, yeah.
A beast.
Yeah.
You know, bass hero,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Man, absolutely. You know, I'll be there. Hung up the phone, full panic attack. Oh my God, what I'm gonna do? Now, all we've been talking about is that I've been playing pop gigs.
Yeah.
Right? Rock and roll, pop. Now I gotta go back.
You gotta go back to the jazz.
Now I gotta go back.
Fusion stuff, yeah.
Go back at that level.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. Music is a language, you know. And as you can hear, my English is really bad, you know, but if you don't play something for a while, you probably have the technique, but your language
skills are challenged.
Challenged.
Yeah.
And that's what's all I was thinking about. It's like, so Chick tell me, okay, I'm gonna see you in about a month. I'll see you in New York. So I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I had some jobs and stuff. And I gotta cancel all of this. I gotta get ready for the master.
Go back to the woodshed.
Yeah. I gotta get ready for him.
Yeah.
So I cancel everything I had. I get in my studio there at home, and I start playing, and I start hearing everything that was wrong with me. No, it's gonna be terrible. My time is horrible. I'm out of tune. I can't play through changes. My rhythm sucks. I could hear everything was wrong with me. And I was doing this for about, I was self-flagellating for weeks. So the time was here. I'm on the plane going to New York. I'm like, please God, if I'm gonna suck, just put this plane down, you know. So I get to New York and I meet these incredible musicians. The guys I was playing with Chick, Marcus Gilmore, an incredible drummer.
Yeah, Marcus is great.
Luisito Quintero was playing, and a guitar player called Charles Altura.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of young cats, bad cats.
Yeah.
And so I get there, and Chick wasn't there. So I'm like, okay, all right. And so I hear he calls one of the guys, says, hey guys, start rehearsing, you know, in the phone. So we start playing, you know, and when with the guys, I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the guys, there's some regular cats, let's just play, you know, we're having fun. All of a sudden, here comes Chick with Bernie Kirsch. He's engineer and he's mixing engineer for years.
For many years.
Many years, he's a dear friend too.
Yeah.
He come in, and Chick stands right in front of me like, this is the first time I ever see Chick in my life. I start sweating profusely. And he's standing in front of me, and he walks right by me like this to my amp, my bass amp.
Yeah.
And he rolls off all the bass on it. So my bass, from sounding like a bass, started sounding kind of like a sitar. Like, uh-oh. So, but what am I going to say? It's Chick Corea. We keep playing, you know, so forget it. I'm not going to stop, you know. So he sits in the piano. We start playing tune after tune after tune.
While your bass is sounding this way.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I didn't really like my bass sound, but I got used to it after a minute. It was like, ain't that bad. Let's keep going, you know.
Yeah.
We played tune after tune after tune after tune. We finished the rehearsal, and Chick says, "Hey guys, we're not gonna rehearse anymore." I was like, "Oh man."
You thought it was over.
I thought I was over for me, man. I thought it was over. I thought it was it for me, man. It was like, I'm like, oh man, oh master, you know, I would really like to rehearse tomorrow too, you know, I need it. And he said, kid, you did your homework. I can hear it, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Take the day off. That was it.
Did he ever say why he changed the bass sound at all?
Whatever. Maybe he was testing my. I don't know.
He
was testing me, see if I wouldn't no, man, that's my sound, you know, I'll do
yeah.
something like that, you know. No, I'm like, okay, that's what you need, that's whatever.
Beautiful. But that's a very healthy attitude that you allowed him, if that is the sound he wanted or if he was testing you, you went with the flow of that. That's great.
Listen, man, we're dealing with a God for real, a God of the music.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dare to challenge him like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially that he's had bass history through his band, you know. Everybody that is good and important in my instrument is gone through his bands.
When Chick, 1968, now he sings, now he solves with Roy Haynes on drums, up to Leprechaun, up to Friends, and all that journey of what he was. So now you had the day off rehearsal.
Yeah.
The next is the gig. What happened on that first gig?
So I get to the gig, and everything was cool. But then he said, "Hey, Christian McBride was still in the band at that point, but Christian couldn't do the rest of the tour." So, but Christian, after those rehearsals, and Chick says to me, "Look, I really want you to come and see this show so you can see the flow of the show and stuff."
Yeah.
So I go in there and I see Christian destroy the gig. I think he did it on purpose too. He's like, "Man, I want to show you." He played that instrument, man. He's amazing, right? So what I got in my mind at that point is that maybe Chick wanted me to sound like Christian. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know, oh, maybe that's what he wants. So maybe let me pay attention so maybe I can sound like that. You know.
Yeah.
So we get to Chicago. It was gonna be the first show in Chicago. We go there, and I'm in full panic attack again because I'm trying to remember what Christian McBride was playing.
Right.
It wasn't me anymore. I was trying to play like Christian, because dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous.
So I'm like, we start playing, and I'm not myself. And Chick, you could see his face. He was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I think this is your last gig, my friend. You know, I was like, oh man. So anyways, we finished the first set. Chick calls me to the green room. I say, "Hey man, what's going on, Carlito? You okay?"
Yeah.
"Man, I love what you're doing, man. Relax, you know, have some fun, you know. Don't worry." So I go outside, and I said, "I need to take some air." And I go outside, and I look out, they start screaming profanity. I cannot say.
We get the idea, right?
I started screaming profanities. And then I said, "You know what, man? I'm just gonna go inside. And if I play bad, out of tune, no rhythm, no harmony, whatever, I go and play rock and roll again."
Good.
Yeah, you know? So if I suck, what can I do?
It's what it is, yeah.
It's what it is. So I go in there, and my soul came back to my body again. I started playing, and you know what happened?
Chick starts smiling.
He starts smiling. He starts smiling because he's like, "That's the guy I saw in the rehearsal."
Yeah.
You know, so the thing behind that story is just be yourself.
Well, this is very profound because this is something which many musicians do. They try to be what they expect someone else to want. And you just came back and just went and just became you.
Yeah.
And that's all you can deliver. And if you like it, great.
Yeah.
If you don't like it,
you have to do something.
I'm still me.
Yeah. You know, it sounds corny and stuff, but it's like, you gotta be yourself.
Yeah.
There's nobody better than you.
But this is very, very good advice. So you went on, you played Quincy Jones, Herbie Hancock, Stevie Wonder, of course Bruce Springsteen, Sergio Mendes, Chick, Barbra Streisand. So you've gone on to have this incredible career, which is still continuing. You are still in the formative years of your development of what you're doing. You still have greatness ahead of you as you have greatness now. This is amazing. Your story is wonderful.
Thank you
from
so
where
much.
you came from Cuba to where you are right now and what you're doing. And me just hearing you last night was just so profound and brilliant. In closing, what would you say to this young generation? Now think about this. We've got these young kids that are out there. They're fans of yours. They hear you play. They've heard you on recordings. They're watching this. What advice could you give to this next generation of musicians that could find out who they are and have the confidence to be who they are on that stage and performance?
Man, the best advice I can give, be grateful, man. When you get an opportunity, go and do the best you can do and be grateful, and people will realize that you are, oh man, this guy's a cool guy to have around. He's so sweet.
Yeah.
He's so sweet. He plays the instrument, and he plays the music great, and you can feel that he's glad to be here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not to have the attitude like, I deserve to be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I'm so and so. No, there is 100,000 of you around there that are dying to get an opportunity like that. So when you get an opportunity, be grateful, be happy, make the people around you be happy. And as I get older, I understand the meaning of that more and more and more. You were just mentioning the great Steve Gadd.
Yeah.
Case in point.
How grateful is he at every performance, at every conversation you have with him? It's just a lesson of deep life.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So let me tell you, that concert that you just saw, that was all improvised. Yeah. It was I was nervous because I picked the music of each of them, and I want everybody to be comfortable.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And he saw that I was kind of nervous, and he came to me and said, "Kid, come. Don't worry, man. No, don't worry. We'll get it together. Don't worry. This is gonna be fun. Relax." Yeah. All the way out of me, you know. But I mean, that's the great Steve Gadd, man. He's played with everybody, and he's in there, and you can feel that he loves being there. Yeah, and he could have an attitude because he's Steve Gadd. Well, he doesn't.
Well, it's funny you mention being grateful and gratitude. This is something which I'd love this next generation to understand. You have that quality, you have great levels of humility, you are a very disciplined person, but you've put in the hard work.
Yes.
You continue to put in the hard work. You continue to prepare and rehearse and understand. So every performance that you go to, you are giving 100% of who you are, Carlito. This is a real fantastic quality. Yeah,
preparation is everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I love practicing. It's no work for me. Yeah. I love practicing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, life can be challenging sometimes, and the only place that you really find that everything that you worry about and all that goes away is when you have your instrument in your hands.
Yeah.
You're practicing. It's like you got your old friend.
Yeah.
Like with the upright bass, man. Like with my basses, if I don't play them for a couple of days, you know, I go back to the instrument. It hurts a little bit at the beginning and stuff, but then, it's like I'm home again. Let's do this. And then practice hours and hours. I love it. You know, time just goes by, and I think that is really important too. A good advice is like practice stuff that you really can play, and you know that. Whatever it is, you know what you can play. Yeah. I know there's things that I need to work on. There's a lot of things I gotta work on. So I work on that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go and work on the stuff that I already know. It's like, I already got it. Why am I gonna do that again? You know, so practice on the, that item got, until you get it. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple, it's really not that difficult. Another thing that the new generation needs to do is read. Read music.
Yeah. It's becoming a lost art.
It's a lost, but let me tell you something. For the past 2-3 years, 6 years on the Latin Grammys, I've been doing on the house bands, right?
Yeah, nice.
I just did the Oscars last year, the Emmys last year. I'm doing the Grammys, the Oscars this year. Beautiful. All the award shows and movies and stuff that I'm doing that. But you gotta read.
You gotta read everything.
You gotta read. And reading is not only read because you know the figures, con, pa, 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 con. No. You see the notes in the paper, then you gotta interpret the notes.
Right.
You know, it's not that they wrote taka 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 can 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 con and it's gonna sound like that. That's not what they want. They call you for solutions, not for more problems. So
great line. They call you for solutions, not for more problems. That's a great line.
You know, so reading is great, man. Don't be afraid of it. You know, reading. And the last thing I'll say, when you're on stage with your friends, with your masters, with your mentors, with whatever, if you listen enough, they will give you all the information that you need to be great.
Beautiful.
You know, like for example, me as a bass player, I like rhythm a lot. I like rhythm a lot, you know. I think I was a drummer in my past lives or something, you know. So I like rhythm. So when I'm playing with great drummers, they're giving me the rhythm, man. So the guy, oh man, that's a great bass line. I'm like, I got it from you, yeah. You know, you give me the information.
So listen, react, be a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But listening and not mimicking everything they do. It's not like, you know, you've been in a show and the guy does and you go, no, that's not it.
Very good point.
Yeah,
very,
that's not it. That's not what I'm saying. It's like you hear him and you go, you know, you get something from what he did and put it into your plan, and it will help you a lot.
It's almost like you're continuing the phrase. That's what makes it happen. So what you have done and what I witnessed last night was great solutions. You really solved a feeling and a spiritual sense that brought the people to their feet.
Thank you so much.
For that, we thank you very much.
Thank you
great
much.
Job.
Thank you so much.
Dom Famularo here at the Sessions panel. This is so exciting. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Click the subscribe button to be a part of what we're doing. The views help us tremendously. All of your comments, we read them and react to them. This is incredible. The support you're giving us is great. The Sessions panel. We'll see you real soon.